How's everybody doing? You're all good? All right. Starting this live stream today. And here we're off. We're off to the races. The race of life, the game of life. That's where we're at. We are off to the races and the game of life. We are all in this game together, all in this race of life together. And you know what's so wonderful about this race of life is that the idea of competition is only in the competitions that we make, but the whole race of life is a collaborative event. Life is a collaborative occasion. To build a team, you must create a sport. To create a team, you must work together. And in order to thrive in life, you have to work together. That's my message of the day. Community, teamwork, friendship, collaboration, relationships, teamwork, effort, etc., etc. Let's see. I need to lock my window here. Open this door because otherwise the scent of oil paints gets really, really powerful. Yes, that's right. It gets really powerful. Actually, I gotta open my other window too. All right, it's important to get ventilation where you do oil painting, people. So just trying to get a little bit more ventilation before I get started. There's a lot of oil paint smell right now. I need to turn on a fan, my overhead fan as well. And there we have it. We've got a little starter ventilation. Dylan, what's up, dude? What's up, Dylan? How are you? I'm doing good. Getting started on this painting. And I'm going to start with some smaller heads first. Let's see. How do I want to tackle this today? Let me tackle this upper area here, these faces. But I have some new brushes, so I have some new brushes that I can use. I have these brushes from Rosemary Co. I have these wonderful little new brushes from Rosemary Co. that I'm excited to use. I love the Pointed Rounds Series 272 from Rosemary Co. They're a very unique texture. It's a very unique texture because it's made out of badger hair. And I get so much use out of these, but I'm also so rough with them that I constantly have to that I need to get new ones all the time. But let me update this live stream real quick. I have a little update to make, little thing to do before we get started. But let's see, we got Michael MW in the room today. Rahul with the compliment. Thanks so much. Let's see. I'll get into conversation in a moment, but still setting up here. That's the one thing about live streaming that can probably put off some artists who would love the live stream is this whole idea like you got to put your game face on. You know, before you start a live stream, you got to put your game face on. And, you know, I can't just like walk up to my canvas and like you know, in whatever clothes I'm wearing and just start painting. It's not, it can be that easy, but you know, there are some nights that I'd love to paint and just like, you know, not worry about live streaming, but I have made it a part of my activity. So therefore I do it. Therefore I do it. I love it. I love it. But there are some nights when I'm like, oh, I got to set up a live stream before I paint and etc. etc. But you know, overall, I absolutely love live streaming the majority of the time while painting because not only do I get to, you know, talk to people, expand the brand, but you know, I will say that just looking at the screen and seeing the reflection, the trick. So seeing this reflected on the camera, this is backwards, by the way. So the way I see it, this is actually on my right, but on the screen, it looks like it's on the left. So I see it reflected, and I get to see this reflection, and it really helps me to capture some of the details of what I'm looking at. Yes, happy Saturday. Try using a parakeet's feather. You know, that's actually a good idea, dude. What's up, Shantae? How are you? Let me go. So these brushes are brand spanking new. And what you got to do with brand spanking new brushes is you got to go find some warm water, and you need to run it under some warm water so that you can get, there's like glue on it. There's usually a stiff glue on a new brush, and in order to get rid of that stiff glue, sometimes you have to run it under hot water. Well, you know what? These brushes, I don't really need to do that for these brushes. Let's just get started. Let's quit playing around and let's get started. So what do I need to do? I've been meaning to work on these characters, this guy, this one little character right here. So let me try and find a little bit of red, a hint of red, orange, and let's find some of our white here and grab some of our yellow, orange. Constantly looking to build a new color. And let's just create some highlight around his cheek here. And we're gonna have a bit of a dirty brown around the cheek here. Let's add in a little bit of shadow. My brown is already dry, but we're gonna add in some shadow with our brown here. Let's see how this will look. So we're gonna try to find our ochres and some of our browns. What's up, Zone? Darker outline around God's head. Will do. Yeah, we actually have to do that. So good call. Michael Wilbur is a master artist. Yes, so it's great to have master artists in the live stream, because you know they tell you stuff and you actually listen, right? Like if Michael Wilbur wasn't the master artist that he is, I probably wouldn't listen. I'd probably be like, yeah, okay, whatever, Michael. Whatever. I don't care what you say. But because he's a master artist, it's awesome. I get some of the top artist live streamers in my live stream, by the way, people. I have to brag about these wonderful people in my live stream, because they are fantastic. They're great artists. Omizu is creating a masterpiece right now on his live stream. Michael Wilbur is like an anonymous artist. Like if you were to look him up, you wouldn't find anything, but you just know that he's a master artist because he just is. And so many wonderful people pop into this live stream. Only the greatest artists on the entire planet have ever visited my live stream. I don't have any non-amazing artists. Yes, I have to brag about the people that visit this live stream because they are so great, so talented, so incredible. But yes, if you don't believe me, check out their profiles. Omizu Paints, like the guy's a master class. The guy does a master class on every live stream. My goodness. Master class Omizu. Yes. All right. So there we go. There's my plug for all the wonderful people who um, check out my live stream. But let's just go ahead and keep building up some of the color around here. I'm gonna build into this brown so that it's not so brown. And let's go maybe grab some of this yellow. We're gonna go around the front of the cheek here. Like, if you ever want to see some masterful artwork, yes, Omizu Paints is the way to go. So adding some tan around here, a little bit of tan, and then let's see if we can find a little bit of tan right here. And then let's add some into the lips here. So we're gonna add a little bit of a shadow into our lip of this figure. Lots of amazing, and I know this man. Give God a fedora. You know, I probably could just add a fedora. That's actually a good idea, dude. Great ideas come from great artists. Isn't that true? Great ideas come from great artists. All right, so we're gonna go like this. I'm gonna bring this down. Nice fine line here. And then we're gonna go around the eye. And then we're gonna find another shadow around the top here. And then we're gonna go ever so subtle. A nice little eye like that. And here we go. Nice little highlight. Nice little shadow right there. Give him some lips. And there we have it. So let's get a little closer, because I'm not going to be working on Michael Jordan for a little while. You want to go to art class for movie Friday. And you know this, man. Honestly, Omizu, that is such a, like, random quote. Is that actually a, like, that quote does not scream that it's from a movie. You know, I feel like I would have to be really in tune with pop culture to recognize that as, oh, I didn't even open my brush cleaning supplies. What am I doing? Slacking. By the way, had a marketer come in my live stream the other day, and I just want to say, if you want to pitch something, if you have an idea, if you want to pitch an idea, plug your business in this live stream, please do not hesitate to do so. You are welcome. People are welcome to plug their channel, plug their ideas. I know all over the internet, no matter where you go, people absolutely like despise people that try to sell stuff. They despise anyone that try to like market, and they'll instantly ban you from any messaging group if you try to, you know, sell a product or something. And that's so annoying to me, because all of life is really about how you can sell an idea, how you can sell yourself, how you can sell your products, your businesses. But people make it so hard. And I get it. You know, there's a lot of scams out there. So, you know, that's one thing. But I just want to say that my live stream is open to those who have, you know, legitimate things that they want to try to offer and put out to the world. So there's that. I want to say that. Don't be shy. Don't be shy. Talk about what you got. All right. So we're going to go into here. And then we're going to go right here. Add some highlight along the top of this face. Add some highlight into here. And let's see how we can... something up with this cheek here. Here we go. We got to go... Let's reduce these eye lines here, and then I don't know why these features are like so so unusual. Let's go right into here. I need to make this more subtle of a line here. This more subtle of a line. And how do I make this feel more natural? I'm still kind of like lost as to how I'm going to make this feel like a very natural face. But I'm not going to quit. I'm just going to keep at it until I finally, one day, it just clicks. Sometimes that happens, you know? Sometimes you're like struggling, and then, you know, one day I just do something and it's like magic. Just bam. Just like magic with oil painting, something happens that just clicks, and then, you know, you got a masterpiece in your hands. Bam. But for now, I need to make some of these shadows a little bit more subtle. Bring in some more roundness into his face. And let's go across this mouth here. It's nothing random about you. It's all been preordained. So here, let's see. Emmett's masterclass. So here's a fun story that I created today. While grocery shopping, this old man, 91, you start chatting about life. He's been married for 58 years. Okay, so until the clerk to say that your son got the bill. So you paid for his groceries. Okay. You paid for somebody's... Hey, that's very kind of you, man. You paid for someone's groceries. That is absolutely fantastic of you. Let's all celebrate Michael's kindness for helping an elderly man. I think it should be celebrated. Celebrate greatness. Celebrate kindness. And how do I work this? I'm trying to find a way to like work this all and just give him like a natural color. His eyes are just so weird. There's just way too much like detail in his face. So much subtle detail that I really have to like just be so gentle with this when it comes to laying down the right color here. Let's see, how do we find this brown? We're gonna go By the way, I do have a pinned message. It is a pinned message for a free trial to Amazon Audible, which is, I mean, I highly recommend Amazon Audible to learn just about anything. I've personally learned painting from Amazon Audible, but not in the way you might think, right? Like, how can listening to an audiobook help you learn how to paint? That's the question you must be asking right now. And I swear, that I've learned a lot just from listening to Amazon Audible books, because you know, I've learned a lot about all a variety of different artists, about my interest in art, and you know, sometimes if you could just get into the mindset of a well-known artist, if you could just get into their mindset and, you know, pretend to think like them for just even a little bit, you can have some really interesting effects, some really interesting work. This kid, I don't know how I'm gonna paint this kid because he has very unusual distinctions in his face. These shadows are definitely not cutting it. But also got to remember that when this is painted on the Sistine Chapel, so this is the painting on the Sistine Chapel, the way this was painted is the fact that this is a huge painting. So everything here is like only 1/10 of the size. So I think the Sistine Chapel painting is like 18 feet. Alexa, how big is the creation of Adam in the Sistine Chapel?
From thecollector.com. The final composition covers more than 500 square meters on the Sistine ceiling and more than 300 figures.
Alexa, how large is the creation of Adam painting on the Sistine Chapel?
The creation of Adam, a painting on the Sistine Chapel, is 280 centimeters wide and 570 centimeters long.
280 centimeters. So that's 22.8 meters, which is like, is that right? Alexa, how many is 280 centimeters in inches? Alexa, how much is 280 centimeters in inches?
280 centimeters is about 110 inches.
So 110 inches, so almost 10 feet. So pretty much everything here is like supposed to be 5 times bigger. It's actually 5 times bigger on the Sistine Chapel. So I'm painting like miniature style, which, you know, sometimes that's a problem because, you know, you're trying to do these super minute details that, you know, an artist had like 10 times the space to work on. So, you know, not a complaint. But it is a challenge to have to paint something small that was originally painted very large. It's just a common challenge. So I want to tighten this. This looks like he's like got weird eyes. So let's just do this. I've got this tightened up. I can add a little bit of shadow, just a hint of shadow. And I'll get back to some of the messages in a moment. I see some conversation happening. I'd like to be a part of it. Some conversations are happening. Conversation. I'm really having a hard time figuring out what makes that eye stand out. But anyway, XPLR lover, what's up? What's my fave color? Oh, what's Michael's favorite color? Okay, what's up? We got some new people. PLR. I'm gonna go to art class. There's a fun story. Michael shared a story. Well, you have to put the piece away for a while. I did. I didn't paint since 2 days ago. You and my paintings, they only speak to you as they build up a piece. Don't worry about his face. Do the robe. Face will automatically come. Try to get into Emmett's mind, but it's scary. What's up? I should be painting on my back like them. That's a good point. I should have tried that. So Adam's head would be 19 inches. Yeah, isn't that crazy? Like this head, even God's head, probably, you know, about a foot long. So that's how much, this is how much space. So this is a 18, no, how big is this canvas? 20 by 30. So this is 20 inches here. So basically the head, any of these head would probably, these little baby heads would probably be about like at least that big. So that's how much detail that I have to condense into this tiny little thing. You know, the head would be about this big that I have to condense into like this. So, you know, I mean, I think I should get a pat on the back for effort. Pat myself on the back because you can't expect other people to pat you on the back. You gotta do it yourself sometimes. Sometimes you gotta validate yourself. Can't expect other people to validate you for you. How's his face going? His face is just so unusual. These faces. Let me see if I can add a little bit more shadow. I'm going to go one more time to try with the shadow. And then if I can't do it, I'm gonna move on. Michael keeps trying to get me to do the robe, but here, I will share an admission. I don't want to do the robe right now. I can't stand painting fabric. I do not like to paint fabric, so I'm trying to avoid that part the best I can. And, but it is good to have like someone like Michael being like, "Hey dude, why don't you tackle your worst fears? Tackle your fear, bro. Tackle that fear. Quit your belly aching about not wanting to do a quit your belly aching." All right, that's not too bad. I like that. I can do it. I can deal with that. I will say the body color is a little off. This is like a yellow, whereas the actual body color is like a pale white. So what I want to do is I want to add some yellow ochre into this body, maybe a little bit of a hint of pink, just like a hint of pink in here. And just try to find some hints of pink. A little bit of red color into here, just to add a variety of skin tone. Let's see, we could go with our orange here. So PLR, what brings you in? How are you doing today? What's going on? Rose gold and lavender. Rose gold and lavender, beautiful colors. My favorite color is pretty standard, just the red. Anything reds. Cad red, rose. Less surface area. What's everyone's favorite food? Manichati. User block everything in. What is everyone's favorite food? What is my favorite food? I love dumplings. Like, that's my favorite food. Any kind of dumpling. And it could be like Italian dumplings, which I think are like raviolis and like all sorts of other stuff. Anything with like meat wrapped in some sort of a easy to consume device. I think every culture has like some sort of dumpling. Almost. I love me a good dumpling. I love a good dumpling. Dumpling every day. I love good dumplings. I could eat dumplings every day. There you go. There's my little jingle for dumpling. My dumpling jingle. Give me a nice dumpling every day. So we're gonna add some oranges. Let's try to bring out some of the vibrance of the skin color here. So PLR, are you an artist? Are you one of the top artists in your field? Because everybody on my live stream is an amazingly talented artist. So, you got some. If you're gonna be here, you have to at least pretend like you're one of the best. You have to pretend. You don't actually have to be. You don't have to be number one on Spotify or number one at Saatchi Yates or even Rept. Like, like Michael Wilbur is the number one artist of Chevron bathrooms, okay? Like, that's it. And that's cool, Maybe you are the number one artist living under a bridge. That's great too. That's fantastic. You can just call yourself number one at anything. Because everybody here is number one at something. All number ones. Everybody's number one. We do live in a world where everybody can be number one at something. You just have to figure out what that is. What are you number one at? That's the only real difficulty. You know what I gotta do? I gotta use a brushier brush. This brush is too safe. I need to brush these colors and allow them to really shine by brushing them around. This brush is too got to loosen up this brush right now. gotta be number one. Number one. If you ain't first, you're last. From the wise words of Talladega Nights. If you ain't first, you're last. Nobody here is last. You're all placers in my book. You're all first at something. Even if it's the first of being last. But obviously you're music. You're a music guy. You do music. Or number two, you're the number one artist having a sleepover that your assistant are watching a movie and you're on a phone, but you're finna play Roblox later. All right, PLR. Sukiyaki, very good. Yeah, all right, that's cool. Yeah, we have a conversation going, people. This is the conversation. The conversation is already begun. This is here and now. Our conversation. We are all conversing. You are all fantastic at what you do. So I'm going to try to find a more subtle color here. Subtle transition color with this red. A bit of, maybe let's go for something more pink. I'll find some shadow into this part of the leg right here. Let's dull it a little bit. I want to go right into here. Yes, here we go. So transitioning some of this. Transition. Just layering the color here. Layering the color. And now that's a little too much, so all we got to do is we just got to mix in a little bit of something brighter, and with that we can tighten it up. You just got to mix in something a little bit brighter to tighten it up. That's it. Because the oil paint is wet, and when the oil paint is wet, you can do some wonderful things, which means you can blend, you can, do all sorts of stuff. Oh, let's lighten it a little bit more. Get some more white, maybe yellow. Let's try to find a good in-between color. Find a good in-between color to blend this. I think that's just enough. Let's try to let's aim to bring in a little bit more highlight at the top of the leg here. There's so much subtle detail in this that I'll have to work over later. But I think I got the face here a little bit better than it was. So let's work on some of these faces. XLR. All right, Locke. We're just going to call you Locke for your own privacy, because if you're playing Roblox, it probably means you're under the age of 18, which means I got to be careful about got to be very careful about how I present your info, all right? So we're just going to call you L. PLR, we're just going to call you L. I think privacy is very important. Now, I can't delete your message for you, but, if you're under the age of 18, you shouldn't even be on YouTube. That's a joke, by the way. Obviously, YouTube should not be limited to people over the age of 18, but you know, you get what I'm saying. Yeah, so you know, unfortunately, I do have to be considerate of people's privacy. And you know what? When you're under the age of 18, you don't really think about privacy, especially nowadays, I think, like on social media and everything. You know, with the way social media works, everybody's like so public about everything. You know, breakups, teachers, like everybody's info is just plastered on the internet. And, you know, at one point in time, that wasn't normal, right? And there may be a time when this current generation of people, which I guess, Alexa, what's the current generation called?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, the current generation name is Generation Alpha.
Generation Alpha.
Defined as those born from 2010 to 2024.
You know, people in Generation Alpha or Generation X or whatever, you know, there's gonna be a time when they're like, damn, I really should have like done more things privately. Especially the people who, you know, don't go on to build brands or like build businesses. You know, so consider your privacy. I'm considering your privacy if you're under the age of 18. But if you're over the age of 18, people stop caring about you. So as far as Michael and Omizi are concerned, I will plug their channels. I will promote their artwork. I will talk about them in upsetting ways. Maybe. Do I ever talk about them in upsetting ways? Not really, but here we go. Let's get this little glaze going right here. It's really dead color on this figure here. So we're trying to find a nice, it's a really dead color. Try to find a little bit of an ochre. Grab an ochre with our white. And add some color variety. And let's see, we're gonna go into there. And let's go like that. Too old to care about feelings. Michael will badmouth everyone. If I work in the background too much, it makes it very hard to pull the front out. Yes, especially in the faces. It's a public channel. Michael wants to play. All right. Michael asked for it. Michael asked for it. Michael wants to play a deity. So let's see what Michael does with power. You can always, you know, when you give someone a little power, they change so much. They change so much. I don't know if anyone here has ever was ever in a position of influence. I don't want to say power. Power is like such a controversial word for some reason. But in a position of influence where they could have influenced many significant decisions through work or whatever. But my goodness, it can change you. It really can. You really have to like learn to check yourself before you wreck yourself. And yes, I do have experience, like, you know, having an opportunity to really influence decisions. And, you know, it can get to your head for sure. It can really get to your head if you're not careful. So just something to think about. Adding a bit more color into here. Let's try to find like a little red highlight in this body part right here. It's going to go really light into here. And then let's go blend this in with some orange white. So Michael Wilbur, Michael Wilbur's got the power. Let's see what Michael Wilbur does with this unleashed power and influence over my channel. Let's see how Michael reacts. Will he ban everybody? Or will he turn this channel into one of the greatest channels that the world has ever known? I don't know. Let's see what Michael Wilbur is capable of. Let's go with a little bit of a tanner color. Just a little bit tanner. Go a little bit tan. Reaching into my brown here. And we're going to go along the bottom of this leg. Create a shape. Let's go like this. We're going to go across the top of the leg, run this top of the leg here. Careful, everybody. Michael Wilbur is... Yeah, you know, that's hilarious, Omizu, is does Michael even know what to do? Like, with the buttons. That, you know, that's kind of symbolic, though, don't you think? Like, giving someone power, but they don't even know what to do with it. That's pretty funny. That's very funny. But it can be a real problem, you know? If someone doesn't know what to do. Like, some people don't need that much power. I like this discussion. It's a people don't talk about power enough, but it's an interesting thing. Most people think power is just money. But you know, power is a thing. It is a thing that moves society. It's not always obvious. Like, how do you tell a powerful person? That's it's not always obvious. And let's see, we're gonna go right into here, into this leg. Power is control. All right. Well, I don't know. All right. I think we're gonna have to put Michael's banhammer in timeout. Oh boy. Well, I hope you at least had fun, Michael. I hope you at least had a good time with your brief experience, your brief moment of unchecked, unrivaled, unquestioned power of the banhammer. I'll probably, you know, one day, if Omi asks, Omizu wants it, of course, I know he has definitely said that he does not want to. He doesn't want responsibility. The responsibility of it. You know, it is responsibility. I was on his channel the other day and everybody was a moderator. And I find that that's like an interesting move. You know, it keeps people coming because they're moderators, but you know, that's not my shtick. Not my shtick of the woods. And let's go with some. Let's keep this one for shadows, and then we're gonna do one for highlights. We're gonna try to keep one brush for highlights, one brush for. So let's try to find our ochre. Got our ochre. Got our orange and our ochre, and back to our orange, and back to our ochre. And this is how we're gonna find our color here. We need to go around and solidify some of these colors here. Oh, miso. What a great discussion, though. Power is an important subject, but it goes undiscussed. They don't teach power in school. You know, it's like the people that are in power, they just want to keep it. They don't actually want other people to know, right? Nobody wants competition, power, you know, competition. They don't teach it in school. Teaching how to wield and keep power is something you should not teach if you're a powerful person, right? Like, you don't want competition. Who wants competition? Nobody wants competition. Nobody wants competition. Let me see, we can actually blend around into here. Let's blend in these these shadows here. And I will do a little outline here. Let's go with the outline. I'm gonna do some dark outlines. So let's go find our brown here. And let's find some outline in this guy. I'm gonna go right here. Who knows about power? Currently only have 2 mods. Hey, later, Michael. Try everyone, gotta rescue your canvas. Alright, take care. Look forward to seeing what happens. To seeing your piece. If Michael ever shows us a piece, I look forward to seeing it. But I don't think he will. It's okay. Better to leave the mystery a mystery. Sometimes mysteries are better left unsolved. Let me see where else I can find like a nice dark shadow to add. I'm gonna find a shadow around the top of this arm here. There's a lot of shadow around this arm. And actually, I can put some more shadows into this figure. A lot more. Can add a lot more shadows. So he's got this like interesting shape under his neck right here. What happens when there we go. There was a fun little experiment to see what happens when someone goes unchecked, undisputed with power. They get ban happy. That's a fine lesson, everybody. Fine lesson indeed. All right, so let's see. Let's go like this. Got this. I want to reduce the outline now, just to make it just ever more subtle, which means I need to brush into this. Almost as if it's not there, right? I'm gonna go into this leg area. We need a bit of a darker shade. Nice little transition color right into here. And right into here. Gonna calm this down, this space. Omizu, if you want to get revenge on Michael, just let me know. I will allow you the gift of unparalleled influence to ban Michael and forever create a conflict between you two. Drama and conflict. Okay, let's see. This is a highlight one, so let's go grab some highlight. And we're gonna go like this. Let's go into this leg. Cover the space here. And we're gonna come into this leg. This leg actually has. And let's go deeper into here, a little bit more highlight right there. What do I do about this section? All right. Actually, this section, I need to soften that highlight right there. He's gone already. Well, you can always just do it next time. You do it next time. Next time. There you go. Unparalleled influence. Okay. I like where this is at. So, but this looks so funky. It's like, it just kind of disappears. But here's what I need to do. I need to do some carving. Let me carve around our area here, our space. We'll grab our brush here. We'll prepare our brush with some oils. We're going to grab some white and blue. Let's grab this white, put it with our blue here. Try to find a little bit of blue just so we can carve out this section right here, because this is the leg. And grab some more of this white here. And it's going on nice and smooth now, which is good. So that's a little better. And then we're going to come around. And bring this in like so. And then bring this down. We're going to bring this around, continue. So we're just basically using this right now to establish an outline a little better. Help to separate some of our figures. And let's see, we're going to go like this. And we're going to carve into this like so. Ooh, yeah, look at that. Look at that. Nice little carve into our calf area. Let's see, does it look proportioned? Yeah, it actually looks pretty good. Looks a little bit more proportioned now, like the calf ratio to leg ratio. And I think I could be happy with this section for now. Eventually, we will go back into this body because there's still some issues with it, right? You can kind of see, it looks a little funky. You know, there's like these shadows are a little bit too deep. Actually, maybe I can add a little highlight to get rid of the shadow here. A little bit of a highlight. How's that look? Yeah, a little highlight there didn't do too much damage. And I could probably add a little highlight right here for the knee. And then, you know what? I don't want to mess around too much more. So, because otherwise, you know, this is when bad things start happening, when I keep trying to like modify. I keep going over these like really super minor details. That's when I start to get in trouble. So, but it takes time. You know, this is like stuff that takes time to recognize, like what your weaknesses are. You know, what your flaws are. You know, recognizing that there are times when I'm like, when I get too brush happy, meaning like I start to do these things that I don't like. That's not like, you know, when I start to do these things out of habit, not because, you know, it's the best for the painting. And that's what comes with time, right? Like that's experience as an artist. You know, of course you can have your own habits, your own ways of painting and all that. But it's not until you really start painting a lot that you can be like, oh, this is what I do, right? These are some of the things that I do that are actually not conducive to the painting, and I should probably check myself now. That right there is experience. Experience. Okay. Let's go down right here. We got some good color on this. I like this. I like where this brushwork is happening. Okay, so this needs to be tightened up right here. Let's go around, bring this down. Just on a forever painting. Paintings forever. I've been wanting to reduce the size of his arm, so this is that opportunity right now because the paint's dry, which means I can just like go around the areas that are dry and I can like start to shape them a little better. And there we go. Okay. He's gone already. He will be back. Michael Wilbur always comes back. Forever and ever and ever. And I do like having this contrasting blue along the top of the arm here because it helps me to separate what's going on. It's a good contrasting color. Oh my gosh, I love that so much of this paint is already nice and dry because I can just, do these nice little sweep overs without the brush getting stuck. Maybe, grab a little bit more of this blue and let's just like play around with this. Let's go, into here. Some of this paint is still wet, but we're gonna go. Ah, that was some dry paint. Let's go like this. And we can even paint over this again later. We're gonna do so many layers on this painting. This painting is gonna be so dense with layers. You know what? That blue actually goes good around the ball. Because blue, what is the complementary color of orange? Blue. It's like I planned this, which I didn't. Look at those. Look at those colors coming together. It's wonderful. Very, very wonderful. And I'm not gonna add too much blue. I don't want to be blue all over. But I think just around the ball actually adds a nice effect. But I do want this cloud to like transition nicely, which means, we're gonna add this around, maneuver some of the paint. And let's see. Okay, so we've got some progress here. We've got these three figures are looking okay. I'm probably gonna work that one again. Maybe work some on this one a little later. I'll definitely continue working on this guy. But what's next now? Let's do this figure. So what are some things that need to be done? Oh yeah, so his leg looks unusually thick. His leg doesn't need to be that thick, does it? Let's see. No, it doesn't. I can carve it in just a little bit. Let's grab some more white. I'm forever in need of white paint. So if anyone wants to send gifts or paint, you know what you can send. White I use an absurd amount of white. It's highly not recommended. Most super high professional top leading artists say don't use white all the time. Or use it very sparingly, but I tend to use it quite often. I use it quite a lot. So we're gonna let's grab some more of this white. Let's find a brush that can pull out this white. So this brush, look at how much white is still left in it. That's at least, look at that. That is so much that's still left in the tube that if you're not careful, you can waste so much paint. I mean, you know, painting in general is already like pretty wasteful because it's like, you know, it dries. A lot of it gets cleaned off of your brush. Excuse me. Having a nice little sip behind the scenes. A little sip of greatness. A little sip of blackberry tea from Starbucks mixed with some unsweetened tea from Cane's. Okay, so we're gonna come in here. And one thing that always gets me about classical art is there's always like these random curves that they do. So I gotta like do my best to gotta capture some curvature, but not do too much. I don't want to do too much curvature. How's that leg looking? All right, a little bit better. And I still want to just tighten up this part of the leg right here. We're going to go into here. And that's actually pretty good. Here, let's see. Come down here. So the original of this painting was done in fresco, in case anyone's wondering. It wasn't done in oil paint. And the reason why that's important to know is because even if I'm able to copy this to the best of my ability and it looks exactly like the original, it would still never even come close to the expertise, obviously, right? It would still never come close. Even if I was to spend you know, years on this and I made it perfect and I made it absolutely match the exact photo, and you couldn't tell the difference between this painting and the one on the Sistine Chapel. Even if I was to achieve that, you know, to realize that this painting was done in fresco, which means this was done in fresco. And basically the way that fresco is done is basically you lay down like this material or this surface, and you have to pretty much paint every section before it dries. So I don't know, you know, the order that all of this was painted, but in order for Michelangelo to achieve any of this, he had to like know exactly what he was going to paint that day and then paint it so expertly, perfectly, expertly, whatever you want to call it. He had to do that. He didn't have the luxury of doing multiple layers. You know, he didn't have this luxury that I have of, you know, being able to go over this painting. Like, you know, it was not oil painting. He was not doing oil painting. He was doing something else. He was doing a masterpiece, a masterwork, one of the greatest artworks that has ever existed. That's what he was doing. And I kind of messed this up just now. But let's see. What can I do? I can just paint over this later. See? So, you know, Michelangelo, like, he didn't have the opportunity to go, hey, I could just paint over this later. He pretty much only had a couple of shots. But anyway, if I could tighten this up, let's see. Let's go into this now. Now that I've already messed this up, let's see if we can revive some of this. So, what I want to do is I want to bring in some shadows into the legs. But yeah, speaking of fresco, right? They basically put plaster on a wall or something, right? And then before that plaster is dry, you pretty much have to paint everything that you need. So they might do it in sections, right? He might just paint one section of the head, sketch it out, put the plaster on, paint into it, and then move on to the next one. So I've never done a fresco. I only read about it. So my example might not be totally precise and accurate as to like how a fresco is achieved. But, you know, no matter what, even if I was to make this a perfect match, um, I do know I can come to terms with the fact that uh, it wouldn't even come close to the mastery that was required for the great Sistine Chapel painting. Wouldn't even come close. Not even if I could match everything. Is that just me being hard on this? Yeah, probably, but still, it is the truth. It is the truth of the matter. And you know, it's always easier to copy something than it is to, you know, figure out to actually design everything and plan out how you're gonna do it. And of course, he had assistance, but still, it's a totally different game. Let's see. I really just want to match the leg detail. So if I can get some shadow down here, and then let me just get an ankle. Let me get a good ankle right here. If I could just push this ankle out just ever so slightly without messing this up. Where does it need to go? Just above the heel, connected into the heel, right there. Ah, perfect. Here we go. And then shadow into this foot. Let's go shadow into the feet here. And then let's go another ankle bone. We're going to get the ankle bone at the top right here. So boom. And I think that looks a little better. Okay, cool. So we've got something. We've got some progress on this. I like the progress. That's one thing that's great about oil painting, right? As I was just talking about, like, what it actually takes to make a fresco, which is the original painting of this was a fresco versus hold on everybody, I got a call. All right, and we're back. Let's talk more about painting. Let's see. So we're gonna add a little bit of. Let's try to add a little bit of red into this. We're gonna go lighten our color here. Get some red. Get some orange. Add some orange into this. Let's find our white, orange, yellow, orange, white, yellow, etc. That's the problem with having an open palette color is so before I did this painting, what I should have done is like planned out the actual color palette and stick to the color palettes. But usually I like to play around with color variety, color variation, and sometimes that creates issues because you're constantly trying to find a color rather than just working specifically with the colors that were actually involved. And if you do that, you just got to be prepared for confusion. But if you can avoid it simply by just picking a color palette, aka the colors that go onto your palette, and sticking with that color palette. But if you choose not to do it, then you just gotta know what you're getting yourself into, which is constantly being in a state of trying to color match, which can be a problem. You can make your life so much easier if you just stick with the color palette, which ultimately at this point I'm starting to move toward that, but of course it does take some time to modify some of the space. And let's see how we do this. And let's see, here we go, boom. And here we go, we're gonna go, let's add a little bit of shadow around the bottom of the butt here, butt cheek. Just want to round it out. And then we're going to bring back in our orange and yellow. And let's see, so this is going to help us create some more roundness into this space. Let's see, that's looking okay. It's looking alright. Not, you know what, let's get some good brush for this. Let's grab some shadow. Oh, well. Let's grab a little bit more shadow here. Let's go a little bit darker. And let's go like this. We're gonna come down right here. And then this is gonna come down. like so. Let's see how that looks. This needs to go up just a little bit so that just a little bit more. Let's see. Yep, that's looking better. Okay. And then let's go add in some of the shadow to create this it's like a little dimple right there. And in order for that dimple to look good, we have to blend it. So we're gonna take a brush. Can you believe that? We're gonna grab a brush. We're gonna brush it. And we're gonna use this brush to blend it. Might have blended a little too much. But that's okay. We just need a little bit of a a little bit of a transition there. And then let's see. Let's start adding this color into the rest of our figure here. So what we're gonna do, you know, what did I just say? I have no clue. That's not a word. Did I just stuttered? What we're gonna do. All right. So here we go. Let's start to add some highlight sections to match our image. We're gonna go down into here to bring a little bit of that shadow down. And we're gonna give it a nice little V here. We're gonna go up and then just move this around. So not only are we capturing the shadow, but we're also capturing the highlight with this color. Maybe I could be a little bit more specific with where I lay down my color here. Oops, that's not a good color. You never want to hear. See, it's okay. I guess it's okay. I'm lucky I'm a painter and not a tattoo artist. I probably say way too much to ever be a tattoo artist. You never want to hear a tattoo artist say, oops. But that's why I don't do tattoos. Because I would say oops. Maybe not. Maybe not if that was my profession. But I've built this channel around all of my oopses. So let's go like this. All right. Let's go into here. We need some more orange and red. More orange, more red. Put that right there. Orange and red. And some ochre. Bring that in. Trying to constantly find this good color is quite a challenge. That doesn't look any different. Huzzah! Okay, let's round this section out, make a little roundness, and then we're gonna go like this. And then here, we're gonna come down, unify some of this color here, and then come up to the shoulder here. There's so many little highlights here. So let me see. This one is going to come around like that. The shadow doesn't need to be so deep. It just needs to be right under the arm pretty much. Let's make this area a little bit more orange. Let's try to bring in our shadows. Not try, we will do. We are doing. We will do. We are doing it. So we're going to go over here. I want to bring the shadow around our main highlight right here. This shadow is just a little bit darker than our other one. And that's one great thing about oils. You can always just build it up and up and up and up and up, and eventually you come to something that you actually like. You know, I think you can do that with acrylic too, but acrylic dries so fast. I think it changes like your mindset, you know? When you work with acrylic, you work so fast, it just changes your mindset. You're like, oh, I've achieved perfection with just a few strokes of the brush. But, you know, with oil, you kind of like, you do have this like pressure to like keep going. Because you can let it dry, you can let it sit for a little while, and then go back to it. And again, you can, all these same things can apply to acrylic probably. I don't use acrylic, but all these same things probably apply to acrylic. But there is like a like a thing when it comes to knowing that, you know, oils just take so long to dry, and it's like an adaptation you have to be prepared for. So we're gonna give deep shadows into our elbow right here. I think our elbow is gonna come right below the butt, so let's go a little lower with our butt here. And then, oh, I'm not even doing the shape right. Here we go. Let's shape it. And then we're going to go down. And we're going to come along the top of it and shape this as well. And then somehow we're going to have to figure out how to separate. Oh yeah, I can see already how we're going to do this. I'm using this for the shadows. Let me use this other brush for the highlights. So let's do that. Let me clean off this brush a little bit and try to grab some highlight color. Yellow ochre. Right at the top of the elbow, we're going to have a little highlight, like right, where's the elbow go? Elbow goes right here. And then let's find our orange shade here. Our flesh color. Yeah, with oil painting, you know, you can just keep going. You could go forever and ever. It's not like fresco, which nobody does anymore, but it's not like fresco where you can just, where you only get really like 1 or 2 shots before you've totally screwed up the painting. You know, you have to be, if you're gonna do fresco, I'm sure you gotta be like an absolute ultra perfectionist. The ultra perfectionism. And let's see, right into here a little bit. All right, it's looking a little better. This is much more workable. This color that I've got. But still have some tightening up on this figure. Really don't want to spend too much more time on this guy right now. As long as I can get some of the major details. Let's actually go into the top of his head here. So the top of this figure's head. I gotta remember to switch brushes when I do different things. But we're gonna go on the top of his head. I'm gonna give him like a little dimension, right? You add shadows and lights only because you're trying to get dimension. Okay, and we're gonna go down into here, add some shadow into his hair here. And then there's all sorts of little like changes and transformations in his hair, in this guy's haircut. So we're gonna see how this works out. We're gonna just, paint into it. Let's go between the neck here. So there's this little area right between the neck, right here, that I need to add some red into. Try to find a good, nice dark red. Actually, we could go probably with this color into here too. And let's see how much further we have to go. I think I got a good color right here. Let me go with this brown again. I'm gonna try to find like a little shadow right there. Get some boom boom shadow right there. And go all the way down to the leg. Give a little crease right there. Oh, this probably go across like that a little bit. And then we're gonna go down, 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 and then here. So my painting actually looks a little has quite a few parts that are different from the original. So some of this is being modified as we speak, and I have to make up some of this stuff. I think we're staying fairly true to the main ideas, main principles of the original. Oh yeah, so he's got this little shadow right here. Let's maybe go around, see if we can add in some more, just to create this like extra layer of dimension on his head. All right. I'm getting to the robe. Oh, I am not looking forward to painting this robe. As many of you have probably already heard. I have no clue how I'm going to pull this robe off. Honestly. How do I pull off this robe? I have no clue. Let's start to add. Actually, you know what? Before I do that, I need to keep procrastinating on a robe because I don't feel ready right now. I want to tighten up these faces. before I do the robe, let's tighten up these faces. These faces should be easy. If I could do the areas around it, I'll feel more confident with the robe. So let's see. Here we go. Do a nice small brush here. This looks like it's probably shadow. So that's not what I want. I want a lighter brush. It's going to help me capture some brighter areas. So here we go. Let's see. Like right into here, I'm going to have a highlight. Yeah, let's go with this red, orange right here. And then we need just a little hint of a shadow. Oh, this is like barely even worth painting in. We're gonna do it anyway, just because. Let's first test this color on the hair. Okay, the hair is not too bad. If anything, it's a little too bright. So just a little, you know what? Let's see. I'm gonna go in right here. Get attacked by a squirrel? All right, everybody, I got another call come in. Be right back. All right, we're back, people. Just dealing with a couple of life challenges, but things are moving along, right? Things are hopefully moving along with life. A lot of life challenges, a lot of things to deal with lately. So back to what we were doing. This little face right here, and then we got to do this other face. But what we want to do is want to go in with shadow, because I'm trying to match it. I really want to, capture this idea that, capture some of the essence of some of these shadows here. And how I do that how I'm going to separate some of these figures here is by literally just bringing in shadows into this face here. So let's see, this nose extends out quite far, so let's bring the shadow down to this figure's nose. Let's give this figure a bit of a bigger nose. We're going to extend this down, and then this guy is going to come up, and this is how he's, you know, I feel like Michelangelo was, or honestly, I like whenever I see paintings that are ancient, you know, I just know that at some level it was probably touched up by some master student somewhere. So at the same time, you know, as much as this is probably trying to copy some of Michelangelo's intent, I think the master student probably also contributed in some form or fashion. So just being cognizant of that, which it shouldn't like change anything too much, but just if I'm thinking of like what the origin of any section is. Like what, you know, it helps to try to guess or know what was going on. I think what was happening here was just trying to make this figure. Okay. Let's see. Look at me pretending like I know what Michelangelo was thinking. Psh, how ridiculous, huh? Am I crazy? Am I delusional? I might be delusional. Help. What do you do when you're delusional? You paint. You become an artist. If you can make yourself delusional, you should become an artist, because that's pretty much necessary. I feel like having delusions of grandeur is somewhat necessary to become an artist, because what else can drive someone to spend their time drawing or painting or anything with pretty much no guaranteed reward, right? You have to like, well, like, you know, you have to have like some thing that guides you, right? Like some guiding power that's like, hey man, one day your drawings might be worth something, even if it's not in your lifetime. I mean, obviously there's people that really, really love it, right? And they can just find the time and they'll do it. But I think even then, you know, there's got to be some level of delusion if you do have the dream of being a great artist. Obviously there's tons of great artists who, you know, just paint just to paint. But if you want to be good at something, you must have some delusions. Lean into your delusions, people. Lean into them. If you don't, somebody else will. The painting is similar to baking a cake. There are steps to them. What go is it if you can't spend the money now while you're alive? Look at that. Michael Wilbur with some wise wisdom. Some wise wisdom. What is wise wisdom, you ask? I have no clue. It's just wisdom that's wise. Wise wisdom. Get it? The haircuts on these characters, though. Very interesting. Alright. Let's paint this other figure. This other figure needs some color. I also think this one needs some blending. There's too much of a glow on her face. And now let's go back to our original dude, original bro. And we've got the shadow color, we've got this other color. Bird in the hand is worth two birds in the bushes. All right, I've definitely heard that one before. That's not a new one, Michael. I always expect new things from you. That's the challenge with being a brilliant quote comer upper, Michael. People will always want more. If you don't give it to them, suddenly you are dead in their eyes. Fickle world of being good at something, like coming up with quotes. And here we go. So a nice subtle nose right here. People never forget on your accomplishments, but will always focus on your mistakes. Isn't that true? I think we've all experienced that at some level, right? Sad but true. The sad but true facts of life. People love to see failure in others. So true. People love to, be there to help you when you fail, but they don't necessarily want to help you succeed. What a fact of life, huh? What a sad reality of life. Wouldn't it be nice if that were like not the truth? That everybody really just wants to help each other to succeed, but no. That's not the case. Life is not that simple. You have to work really hard to find people that want to help you win and succeed. But when you do find those people, you keep onto them. You become their friends. Don't let that relationship go easily. You 99 paintings, but that one messed everything up. So the easy solution is this. Michael, what are you talking about? Can you fill us in with some context? Huh? I swear I'm a little lost as to what your dilemma is, what's going on in your life here that's causing you this frustration, this dilemma. So here we go. We're going in with a nice orange. Okay, and here we go. So we got this guy's chin. You can probably add a little bit of a highlight around his chin here. Let's go around his shoulder here. So we're going to go in with some bright colors. And then paint around here. Go into his shoulder right here. I'm going to paint some highlights into it a little later. But just going into the body. It's looking a little better. Message helpful review. What did Michael say? Michael, what did you say? Oh, you said Vashushu Sikshushu Teshushim. Apparently, YouTube does not like that word. Vashushu, Fashushu, Fekshushim. But I get it. It kind of rhymes with stuff. It rhymes with things that might not be appropriate for the average viewer. YouTube, I approve of your message throttling of Michael Wilbur. Do you hear that? Cat? Did you hear that? It sounded like little kittens. Huh? Oh, it's on your Instagram. I see. Let's bring in a little pink. Bring a little pink around this outside here. Try to find the shoulder area. Let's find this pink again. Maybe give it another kick of red here. Yes, I do have kittens. They're kittens. But we also, I think Cat was also watching a video. All right, this is gonna look much better during the next come around of this figure, because when we do finally come back around, we will have some details. We will have some details that will make it look extra good. We just got to stick it through this phase. All right, so let's go into this figure. I think her issue is that we need some more ochre. We need some lighter ochres on her. And some very pale ochres, I think. Very pale ochres. That's what I think is needed. Very pale ochre. Let's find that. I think this is a good pale ochre. And we're gonna find, let's see. Go like that. Across the top of the head here. And then I think some lighter shades around the shadowed area will help a lot. And let's see, get a nice little thing like that. Maybe I can put this ruler down and try to paint without the ruler. Could be helpful. What time you going to pick up Bonnie? What'd you say? Never mind. Never mind. Okay, I'm gonna come around like this, go over these areas, try to create a more cohesive painting here. And let's go like this. What? What? Let's go like this. Back around. When I get flagged, who does that? The algorithm or some human? That's a good question. I don't know. I don't know who flags you, Michael. I think you're just in general under watch, under heavy watch because of who you are. So just in general, you know, you're being heavily moderated by the government or YouTube, the YouTube algorithm. Makes sense. I get why. I understand why. Do you? Do you understand why? Let's go into the shoulder here. Let me grab a thicker brush now. Got the shadow brush. Let's see if we can just brush in some shadows right here. Let's get in some shadow along the top of the head, but not too dark of a shadow. See how we can adjust these shadows to be a little softer. A bit of some softer shadows right there. Mold around that. Around the chin right here. And might need a break soon, by the way. Just letting everybody know if you're just tuning in right now. Probably gonna take a break. Oh. Right here. Who wants to get into oil painting? Raise your hand. I know everybody wants to get into oil painting. There is a oil painting renaissance happening. I see it. I can experience it. I can feel it. A lot of people want to do what's cool. Boogie. And here we go. Let's see, we're gonna move this arm back a little further, and we're gonna bring the front of this arm up with shadow. And let's go. It's gonna be an oil painting renaissance, a revival of oil painters everywhere. A revival of interest for oil painting. I can sense it. I can feel. Does anyone else feel like they can feel when trends are like in a process of happening? I can sense it. I know it to be true. I know it to be true. All right, let's bring out some of this lighter shade right here. Lighter shade with the yellow ochre. And let's try to find nice transition space here. We're gonna go transition. And there's gonna be some transition up here. Gonna build her up. There's so much detail in Eve. I believe this is Eve. There's so much detail in Eve. It's just absolutely fascinating. Pookie, go the other way. There we go. Good girl. All right, we are going to take a break on this in just a few moments. Let's see. I feel like I could finish her, but let's see what more we could do. Let's go back to some of these figures here and maybe add some little subtle color shifts. I feel like the leg looks a little funky, you know? Something about the leg, some of these lines look a little too harsh. So how can I fix that? How can I modify this leg? That's a little better. I think also this leg's like really big. All right, not bad. That's actually pretty good. That is actually pretty good for now. Okay, let's find this. I'm gonna go with just a little bit along the top half of this character here. Just a little bit of the same shade, just to capture some of it, you know? Want a little bit, some cohesion across our piece here. A little more hint of orange. My orange is about to dry. So when things like that start to happen, I also like to try to use them up, you know? And this would look better if the paint was already dried, because now I'm sort of, working on top of wet paint, which means all the paint's going to combine together, which isn't always what you want. So if I was to let this dry, you can do what's called glazing. And what that can allow you to do is to, create separation. And here we go. Let's I want to tighten up this leg right here. So we're going to go up. How's that leg looking? All right, I need a little break before we go forward. We're just slowly building up everything. For those of you here, obviously Michael Wilbur is here to give us the greatest quotes that the world has ever known. Always great to have good motivational quotes throughout your day. I have a couple around my apartment. I have one that says, "I love money and money loves me." What does that say about me? I will let you decide. I will let you have your assumptions about me, because they may very well be true. Or not. Yeah, we're taking a break right now. If you look at a painting for too long in one sitting, especially with oil, with oil, like, everything about oil is designed for you to take your time. Everything about oil painting is pretty much. And here's the great thing about oil painting is, although it takes a really long time to dry and you do need patience for that, it's not like the type of patience that you might think, right? Like, you don't actually have to sit there and wait for it to dry. But the fact that it takes a long time to dry just means that you can swap between paintings. You can just go between paintings as you're working. And I think that's one of the best parts about oil painting, is because it takes a long time to dry, you're never really like tied and like, you never really get stuck having to do just one painting. You can do like 5, 10 at a time. It's great. I love that part about it. I've never gotten up to 5 or 10, but I have gotten up to about 2 or 3, maybe even 4. But obviously it's much easier the smaller you paint. The smaller you paint, the easier it is to have multiple canvases. But then again, maybe, depending on your space, the bigger you paint, if you paint really big, you can actually find, if you paint really big, you can actually also have lots of canvases, letting one dry or 5 dry at a time, working them as you go. But we're taking our break here for just a few moments. More than a few moments, we'll be back later. Hopefully, that's the expectation. with that, everyone, we'll be back later. Thanks for being here. We'll come back in a little bit.